The Eagles just made a quiet move that says a lot about Howie Roseman's strategy to protect one of the youngest and most talented defensive lines in the entire NFL, my friend. A 27-year-old defensive lineman, 6'4", 300 pounds, with the versatility to line up at multiple spots along the defensive front, has officially been re-signed. And all of this happened just 1 week before the start of the legal negotiating period ahead of the new league year. The question is, what does this move actually reveal about Philadelphia's plans for 2026? I'm going to break down who this player is, what he brings to Vic Fangio's scheme, and what this type of signing says about the Eagles' roster-building philosophy. But first, if you're a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because free agency is right around the corner and the content is going to be coming in hot over the next few days. With the 2025-26 season officially wrapped up and free agency closing in fast, the new NFL league year kicks off on March 11th. The Philadelphia Eagles front office is moving carefully to get their roster in order. This organization, known for Howie Roseman's iron discipline on the salary cap and his ability to build a young, dominant defensive line, is already making its first decisions of the 2026 cycle. And one of those decisions was bringing back defensive lineman Taquan Graham. Graham spent the final 10 games of the 2025-26 season on the Eagles practice squad. He was added to the group on November 8th of last year, just 3 days after being waived by the Atlanta Falcons, his original NFL home, where he had been since being selected in the 5th round of the 2021 NFL Draft. In other words, Graham already knows the Eagles system inside and out, and the organization thought enough of him to bring him back for another shot. Now let's talk about what Taquan Graham actually represents on the field. Over 4.5 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons, he appeared in 51 games, starting 16 of them. His career numbers include 88 tackles, 5 for loss, 1 sack, 13 quarterback hits, and 36 pressures, along with 1 forced fumble and 1 fumble recovery. His peak usage came in 2022, when he participated in 47% of the Falcons' defensive snaps, 471 snaps in total, representing 42% of the team's overall defensive participation that season. So what do those numbers really tell us? Graham is not an elite starter, and nobody is claiming he is. But he is exactly the kind of piece that a team like the Eagles needs in the deeper layers of their roster. At 6'4" and 300 pounds, he has the physical tools to play both inside and outside along the defensive front. That versatility is especially valuable in a system like Vic Fangio's, where defensive line rotation is constant, and the ability to plug players into different roles makes a real difference over the course of a long season. And there's more. Graham is regarded as a high football IQ player. It's no coincidence that he was a 2-time member of the Big 12 Commissioner's Honor Roll during his time at the University of Texas, and earned honorable mention All Big 12 recognition in 2020. Football intelligence, schematic understanding, and the ability to absorb a playbook quickly. Those are qualities that matter most precisely when you're talking about a depth roster and practice squad player. But Graham's addition can't be explained by his individual traits alone. It has to be seen in the context of the Eagles' defensive line as a whole, and that context is genuinely fascinating. Jalen Carter remains one of the most dominant players at his position in the entire NFL. In 2024, he totaled 42 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 16 quarterback hits, and 12 tackles for loss, numbers that earned him a Pro Bowl selection and second-team All-Pro honors. Carter played 79% of the defensive snaps during the regular season and surged to 88% in the playoffs. With Vic Fangio expressing full confidence in him, Carter enters 2026 as one of the most important players on the entire roster. Alongside Carter, Jordan Davis is now in his 5th contract year. The Eagles picked up his option. The 6'7", 335-pound tackle is determined to prove he can be a 3-down player in 2025, after spending most of his earlier career deployed primarily as a run defense specialist. And Moro Ojomo, selected in the 7th round in 2023, has been earning a growing role in the rotation, including meaningful contributions in the playoffs. Add in names like Azeez Ojulari and Nolan Smith providing pass rush presence off the edges, and you start to see why this is already a loaded defensive front. So the real question becomes, with so much young talent already on the line, why would the Eagles bother re-signing a practice squad player like Graham? The answer comes down to a single word that Howie Roseman knows better than almost anyone in this league: depth. Free agency and the 2026 draft are still going to reshape parts of this roster. Between now and the start of the regular season, injuries, cuts, and salary cap adjustments can completely transform the group available on game day. Having a player like Graham, who already spent a season inside the system, understands what Vic Fangio demands, and physically can cover emergencies at more than one position, is exactly the kind of smart insurance that well-run organizations keep on hand. But this move also raises a bigger question about the Eagles' direction this offseason. With Milton Williams departing to sign with the New England Patriots for $26 million per season, Philadelphia lost a significant piece of depth and production in the defensive line rotation. Williams' exit created a void that Ojomo, draft picks, and exactly this type of low-cost addition like Graham will need to help fill going forward. The roster-building narrative in Philadelphia is crystal clear. Invest in internal development, keep the cost of depth positions low, and allocate real financial resources to the elite pieces: Jalen Carter, Jalen Hurts, the offensive tackles, and cornerbacks Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Bringing Graham back at or near the minimum salary to protect the D-line at the practice squad level is a decision that fits that philosophy perfectly. Now let's talk scheme, because this is where the Graham signing starts making even more sense from a tactical standpoint. In Vic Fangio's system, the defensive line isn't just a physical barrier, it's a tool for pre-snap reading and manipulation. Fangio likes to move his linemen, create confusion in pass protection schemes, and force quarterbacks into making fast decisions under pressure. For that to work at a high level across 17 weeks, you need players who understand not just what to do, but why they're doing it. Graham, with his documented football intelligence and experience of more than 50 NFL games, fits exactly the profile of a player who can absorb those concepts and execute them without breaking the scheme when called upon. In a system so dependent on communication and collective alignment, inserting an unfamiliar face into the middle of that structure can be costly, and Howie Roseman knows that better than anyone. Historically, Roseman has always prioritized keeping players who already know the language of the system rather than gambling on new names and support roles. Just look at the pattern from previous years. When the Eagles identify a player with the right technical and behavioral fit during a season, they rarely just let him walk for free. It's the same logic that has driven moves like retaining reserve linemen after seasons of limited exposure, or re-signing specialists who went through the system without ever being the stars of the rotation. Having Graham as a known, scheme-trained option in Fangio's defense is a real asset, an insurance policy that, if it's never cashed in, costs almost nothing, but if it's ever needed, could prevent the worst-case scenario right in the middle of a playoff run. And speaking of timing, it's impossible to overlook when this re-signing happened. We are 1 week out from the start of the legal negotiating period. The Eagles are typically very active in this window, lining up meetings and agreements before the official market opens. Keeping Graham on the roster at this moment signals that the organization wants stability in its depth layers while it evaluates what the bigger market has to offer. It would not be a surprise at all if, over the next few weeks, larger moves build on top of this one. There's also the scheme familiarity component. Graham spent the back half of the 2025-26 season fully immersed in Fangio's system in Philadelphia. He knows the tendencies, the assignments, the calls. Bringing in an outside player would require a ramp-up period. Keeping Graham is simply the most efficient move in terms of continuity, especially for a player who could be activated at any moment to handle a midweek emergency. The Eagles' defensive line enters 2026 with Jalen Carter as its unshakable cornerstone, Jordan Davis pushing to take his game to the next level, Moro Ojomo continuing to grow with every season, and young players like Ty Robinson, Gabe Hall, and Byron Young competing for roster spots. Taquan Graham is not going to be a starter, but he represents exactly the type of piece that championship-caliber teams keep with purpose: versatile, smart, known by the staff, and financially accessible. With free agency opening, the draft approaching, and all the natural uncertainty of this time of year, what do you think is the one piece the Eagles still need to add to their defensive line in 2026? Should the priority be interior depth, more edge rush firepower, or does this organization already have enough to trust what it has built in-house? Drop your take in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I'll be back soon with the latest Eagles news.